Yo, what's up? This is Mattie Montgomery from For Today, and you're watching Wheeler's Weekend Jams live and direct.
Find the silence, the voice of the voiceless. Find the silence, we are the hope for the hopeless. Find the silence.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're tuning into Wheeler's Weekend Jams live and direct, and I am standing here with the one and only Mattie for Today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Fantastic, man. Congrats on your new album, Fight Silence. What is the story behind that title?
It's kind of a funny thing, man. I was writing lyrics for the song "Fight the Silence," the title track on the album, and I threw a line of lyrics into the song that actually was the name of a tour that we'd done for the last 2 years, which was the Fight the Silence tour.
Oh, okay.
And I just kind of thought that phrase was cool, and so I took it and threw it in the lyrics. We wound up naming the song that, and then wound up making that song the title track of the album. But the funny thing is, and this is the little known story behind the phrase "Fight the Silence," is when I was 16 years old and I was playing in a local band in southeastern Michigan, me and my friends made up a record label, and we signed our own band so that we could pretend like we were a real band, like we were signed to a record label. So we would send out press kits to local venues and stuff like that, and we would tell them, Fight the Silence Records, newest band. We were called This My Soul. So This My Soul, Fight the Silence Records, newest band, and we did that to like validate ourselves or whatever. It wasn't a real label, but we did that to make people think that we were legit. So that name was always in the back of my head, and it's funny because those guys are still friends of mine now, 10 years later. And I started naming For Today tours Fight the Silence, and we wound up naming an album Fight the Silence.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So they have thought it was so cool because it's kind of a blast from when I was a prepubescent drummer in a band.
Oh, nice. Blast from the past, man. Tell the fans out there what you guys grew up in Iowa. You guys formed in Iowa, I should say, back in '05. How was that music scene? Because you think of Iowa, you think of farmlands, and
I was not in the band in '05 when they were forming, but I do know that For Today sort of started its own scene in the city. I mean, it's just a little farm town, Sioux City, Iowa.
Scenes start everywhere, man.
And so what they did was they started booking bands like A Day to Remember and 4 Years Strong and Haste the Day. Who else came through? Chiodos came through. They started booking bands like that were like relevant at the time to come through their town, and then they would just put For Today on the shows as like the local opener.
Yeah.
And everybody at these shows, they were fans of For Today, so it would make For Today look good to these national touring acts. And that's actually what got For Today signed was bigger bands like that emailing their record labels saying, "We saw this band in the middle of nowhere and they totally killed it. You got to check them out." And so that actually was a big help for us, was bigger sign bands putting in a good word for us with their record label. But the only reason we looked good was because we were the ones booking the shows. Yeah.
Nice.
So there's a tip for you up-and-coming bands: just become a local promoter and book a band that you want to notice you, and then play a show with them.
Right on. People. I mean, everybody has their own taste in music, but for people who don't understand your guys' music or anything, can you define, in your own opinion, like what Christian metal really is?
It's metal.
Exactly. That's what I was.
Being played by Christians.
Well, that makes sense.
Seems pretty self-explanatory.
Well, I mean, when people see you, they see you screaming, and then
here's my thing. I preach on stage. I don't think every Christian metal band has to do that. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to be who people expect me to be. I'm not trying to be who people say that I should be or whatever. I'm not trying to live up to some standard that someone else has set. I'm trying to be who God has called me to be. And for example, the band The Chariot, they don't ever preach on stage, but we know those guys. We love those guys. They're incredible men of God. They're out upfront about their faith. They're not afraid of it at all. And they do on stage what they feel like God has called them to do. And that's awesome. You know, the thing about the Christian faith is that it is dynamic and diverse. And while there's one God and there's one Scripture, the way that it manifests itself in our lives is very diverse. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So, you know, I don't want to like put some burden and say that means that you have to preach on stage or whatever. It means that you just do what you do for the glory of God. Whether it's playing in a band, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, whether you bag groceries at Walmart, you just do what you do for the glory of God, you know? And, and whatever that looks like for you, more power to you, you know?
Gotta have faith. That's right. You know, I mean, like John Lennon, he promoted, George Michael all day. John Lennon, you know, he sent out that message, give peace a chance. A lot of people, you know, kind of got upset because they don't want to hear somebody's political views. They just want to hear the music. But he threw it into his music. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing.
It's like,
you're throwing it into the music.
Everybody says, write about what you know. All the greatest artists, you know, writers or lyricists will say, well, you got to write about what you know. And what I know is Jesus. I know him, and I love him, and he's changed my life. And so, you know, I can't write about violence or fighting. You know, it's like the stuff that I know is Jesus. And so it just comes out as I write, and it comes out when I'm on stage. It's just who I am.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus is here at Warped Tour right now, and if you had to explain Warped Tour in one word, what would that word be?
Chaos.
Chaos.
Yeah, Warped Tour is just so many like random people groups and random tastes and styles and belief systems and perspectives just sort of all thrown into a big parking lot together, and it's like, let's just see what happens. It's awesome. It's just like a beautiful mosaic of culture that all sort of comes together and somehow works, you know?
It's a big form of unity.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Man.
That's awesome. Well, my last and final question to you, I ask every band this.
Okay.
If you had to compare your band to a movie, what movie would it be and why?
300. Because it's violent and intense, but still passionate and timeless.
Nice.
Is that all right? And also hot dudes with six-packs and loincloths.
This is Sparta!
Yeah, ladies, come see it.
Come see it. Come see 300, for today at Warped Tour. This summer, 2014, they are rocking it out. Please, come all. Thank you so much, Mattie, for joining us.
My pleasure, man.
And tune in to Wheelers Weekend Jams every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. only on WindyCityUnderground.com.